Joshua Buatsi versus Willy Hutchinson, 12 rounds in the 175-pound division. Let's get into it. Let's start with their respective records. Buatsi, 18 wins, no losses, 13 wins by way of knockout. Hutchinson, 18 wins, 1 loss, and 13 wins by knockout himself. This is an interesting matchup, an interesting fight, man. One of my guys sent me the odds of this fight. Buatsi is a small favorite, not too crazy, right? But he's a favorite nonetheless. I was watching the face-off between both of these men, and Hutchinson said, this is going to be a much easier fight for me than it was when I fought Craig Richards. And, that win seemed like it gassed him up and made him extremely confident. And I like the confidence. I believe as a fighter, as an athlete, whoever it is, you have to believe yourself that you are the best that you can be, that nobody can beat you. As a former professional athlete myself, I never thought that nobody would beat me. You have to go in with that level of confidence. It's that internal belief that a fighter needs in order to achieve greatness. And from that fight with Craig Richards, man, I mean, Hutchinson, easier than him, he really believes that this fight is going to be no problems for him. So he's talking good, feeling good, right? And he is not afraid to speak that honest truth that he believes is the reality, right? But Hutchinson, he really impressed me against Craig Richardson's, man. Not even gonna lie, he really impressed me. Felt like he boxed exceptionally. He took the fight to Spider Richards, and for most of that fight, Hutchinson had his way. Whenever he fully committed to his shots, man, he was able to get through. Right? He feinted well to set up the shot that he really wanted. Feinted with the left, come over the head with the right, come over top with the right, go to the body. When he committed to his offense, he was having a lot of success, and he was hitting Craig Spider Richards often and effectively anytime that he let his hands go. Personally, Richards looked a little less than his best, a little slower than normal, and Hutchinson made him pay, right? He countered accurately whenever Spider Richards overcommitted to a shot. Spider allowed Hutchinson to get into his groove, to settle in, and to stay comfortable for a greater portion of that fight. When Hutchinson got tired, that's when Spider was able to have some success. He had him hurt a couple times in the 9th round, but Hutchinson came back in the 10th round and almost stopped Spider. If it wasn't for the bell and if it wasn't for the ropes, man, he definitely would have scored a knockdown that round, because Spider was very close to being out of there. But Spider came back and had him hurt in the 11th round, but Hutchinson was able to weather the storm. And, Richards looked extremely gassed out himself. Honestly, both men looked pretty tired. But Hutchinson won a bunch of those early rounds, so he was able to build up a comfortable lead as the fight went on, and he got himself the victory, right? It was a solid performance. I felt like he overperformed. I didn't know too much about him. I had watched a couple fights before, but was never really too impressed. But that was a fight that he definitely impressed me personally. Maybe he did to you, maybe he didn't, but to me, I was impressed, man. I felt like he definitely had to earn that win. He looked quick in the ring, too. The hand speed looked nice. The movement looked fluid. He just looked really good, and he executed excellently in that fight, But, sometimes he does have his chin up in the air at times, and I think sometimes when he's too confident, it can cause lapses in his defense. If this was the Spider Richards, that fought Buatsi, or fought Bivol, perhaps he would have been able to capitalize on some of the mistakes of Hutchinson, but it just wasn't the case on the night, and Hutchinson got the win. But this win definitely made him extremely confident, and he looked good, right? This is the wins that you want when you're competing against former world challengers and you're able to look successful and look good doing it, man. He's got some pretty good pop in his shots as well, too. Buatsi is coming off of a fight against Dan Aziz, right? Aziz, big, strong fighter. He can punch, but he's still a little bit raw, right? But an up-and-coming physical fighter, and Buatsi looked like he was in there having fun, man. Never really looked uncomfortable, but also didn't seem like he really press the fight like we'd seen him before. You remember how exciting that Craig Richards and Joshua Buatsi fight was. I didn't get that same excitement in this fight. It just felt like Buatsi, was kind of, not going to say fully going through the motions, but I know they're friends. Maybe he didn't really want to hurt his friend like that. But I felt like he didn't really, take that next level and that next step up that I believe in his skill set that he does possess. He wasn't really trying to hurt Dan Aziz, at least to me. I know that sounds crazy in boxing, but perhaps you kind of see what I see. But both men kind of just stood in the pocket, man. It gave us some of that old school, right in front of you power type of boxing. Buatsi caught Aziz with a 4-piece combination that dropped him, got back up, and a couple rounds later, he got dropped again with an exchange with the right hand. And after that point, 2 knockdowns, it was over with, right? It was over with. Buatsi came away with the win. There was also another round where, if it wasn't for the bell, Aziz, man, he would have got stopped because he got caught with another counter left hand and his legs were extremely shaky. But, Hutchinson is not no Dan Aziz. He's not just going to sit there and wait to be punched on. Hutchinson can move, right? Buatsi is going to have to find a way to cut off of the ring and fight with calculated pressure and strategic movements in order to have his way in this fight. When I think about this fight stylistically, it kind of reminds me of when Buatsi fought Powell Stepien, right? Stepien could move a little bit, right? He covers up well and he's able to be defensively sound enough to not take flush punishment because he's using his footwork to move around the ring. Now, he didn't let his hands go, as I believe Hutchinson will when he fights Buatsi, but the movement was causing Buatsi a little bit of problem. But Buatsi, I felt like, fought a very calculated fight, man. He didn't fight an emotional fight. It was a long layoff for him as well, too, probably one of his longest layoffs. But he did a good job of not fighting too emotional and not neglecting certain things that helped him win the fight, like the jab and, boxing with IQ and using his experience in order to get him the win. He went to the body to slow him up a little bit, used his jab. So it was a decent fight. Felt like Buatsi looked a little bit flat in that fight against Stepien. To me, again, coming off of the layoff, it takes a little bit to get back into your groove. But perhaps that fight might look similar to that with a little bit more action from Willy Hutchinson, because that man likes to fight, man, and he'll take a risk. A confident fighter, he'll definitely take a risk. So I think this fight might be a little bit closer than what the odds are saying even now, because I think it's a fight that honestly could go either way, in my opinion. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and signup Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/the breakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos and videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. Both men have almost identical records, right? Both men turned pro in the same year, 2017, same amount of knockouts at 13. When you're looking on paper, Buatsi fought the better opposition, but Hutchinson isn't going to be light work by no means, man. I thought Spider was going to beat him, but I was wrong, and I was impressed during that fight by Hutchinson quite a lot, man. But I do think he fought a Craig Richardson that was less than his best years. And I think Buatsi still has a lot to prove. At one point, we were looking at Buatsi with Bivol or Buatsi better Biev. Um, and if he wants to get those big fights, he's going to have to continue to win. So there's a lot at stake here for Buatsi. The public really likes him. His promotions really like him. Home crowd likes him. So there's a lot behind Buatsi in terms of what is next for him if he can get the win. So that's something to always keep in mind if we're talking about the political side of things. But Buatsi still has a lot to prove, man. I think he's going to have to fight a more calculated fight. Will that be enough? Obviously, we'll see on the night. Buatsi hasn't gotten a stoppage in the last 3 fights, and this is someone who came into the ring knocking cats out and had a really big knockout streak. So I think he's also more consistent with his power throughout the fight. Hutchinson looked gassed in the latter part of the fight. Man, he came out of the gates hot, but started to slow down a little bit as in those championship rounds and picked it up in spurts. But sometimes he did look like he was playing possum. So we're going to see what type of shape that he's going to come in, man. I'm expecting a really good and exciting fight from both men. But I like Joshua Buatsi to win this fight by decision. Richards did not let his hands go in the early part of the fight. He just was chasing around Hutchinson, and Hutchinson was able to dictate what he wanted to do. And Richards did not make himself hard to find or hard to hit. And Hutchinson had his way countering him consistently with kind of the same similar shots. I don't think Buatsi is going to just chase Hutchinson around the ring. I think he's going to let his hands go and take that risk because he's going to need to outwork Hutchinson, I believe, if he wants to win this fight. I think he'll take the risk. I think both men will take the risk. I think Buatsi's a little more conditioned for a 12-round fight than Hutchinson is. If I was a betting man, I'd probably put a couple dollars on Hutchinson too, because I really think he has a great shot at winning this fight, and he could win this fight. But I'm still going with Joshua Buatsi to win this fight by decision. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. How do you think this one goes? Who do you have winning? Let me know in the comment section below. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this time, do me a favor and subscribe, like, share, and comment on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next